There are a lot of aspects about running you need to pay attention to, and one of those you might want to give more thought to is recovery, because if you're not running, you're recovering. Welcome, Ageless Runner. I'm Ralph. So when I talk about recovery, I'm not only talking about recovery right after a run, I'm also talking about recovery between the runs. As I said in my opener, if you're not running, you're recovering. And there's several things that I think are very important about recovery that I call three pillars of recovery. That is rest, hydration, and nutrition, which is protein and carbohydrates. Now, before we jump into those three, we need to talk a little bit about the changes our body goes through. And those are two types of changes. One is with age. We know that as we get older, we lose muscle, our muscles become less. In fact, at an extreme, you can have enough muscle loss, you get a condition called sarcopenia, but that's not what we're talking about today. But you lose muscle, our joints change, our ligaments shorten up, which makes us less flexible. The fluid that's in our joints for lubrication becomes less, or a little stiffer, a little less flexible as we run. And then the other thing happens, of course, when we run, anytime we do anything that involves your muscles in a resistance manner, and that happens with our legs when we run, is we get these little micro tears. If you ever do a really hard run or you lift weights and you get that soreness, that's those micro tears. And those happen every time we do weight-bearing kinds of activities. So those need to heal and repair. So the fact that we're growing older, we're losing muscle mass, our joints are getting stiffer means our bodies have to work a little harder, and we're going to need a little longer time to recover. Now, it's interesting when you review some of the research. There's some research out there that says, yes, as we get older, our muscles and bodies need more time to recover. There's some research that says, well, we don't see that difference, but the types of studies are done all vary in how they measure muscle repair, how they measure muscle fatigue. And some of the studies don't really look at people my age. When I say my age, I'm talking about mid-60s or over 60s. Some of the studies look at people in their 50s and people in their 20s. So I think we can all assume, and I'm going to assume, that as we get older, it takes more time to recover. I know I get more tired easier the older I get, and it's just going to take longer to recover from a runs or any type of activity. Now, my first pillar is rest. And I want to spend some time about rest. I think that's most important and probably the least valued or the least taken seriously. We always want to go out and run. Anytime we feel in the mood, let's go run. That may not be the best thing for our bodies. We know we need time for our muscles to heal. We'll talk about some of the other aspects of that in a minute here. We need time for our bodies to heal and recover from those runs. So that all gets into the standpoint of how frequently should we run? There's kind of a general recommendation out there that says you shouldn't run more than 4 times a week. And that's just kind of a broad recommendation for us casual recreational runners. Obviously, if you're a competitive runner, that might be different. But if you run 4 days a week, that means at least once a week, you want to run 2 days in a row. For example, if you run Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, every week you would run Saturday and Sunday. And I think as we get older, we need to think whether or not we still want to do that. I'm over 60. I think if you're over 60, you ought to maybe not run 4 days a week. You ought to run maybe 3. And as you get older, maybe you only run 2. I don't know, not to that age yet. And if you're under 30, you can probably go week in and week out and run 4 days a week. But as you get older, you need to really listen to your body. How are you feeling every time you run? Do you feel rested? Do you feel like when I do my next run, I can run well and achieve the objectives you want to achieve? I'll give you an example here, and that's from another rule of thumb, which says that when you do a hard run, every mile you do of a hard run, wait 1 day before you do another hard run. Said another way, if I go out and run 10 miles, I should wait 10 days before I do another hard run. So I did a 50K in early July, and 50K is 31 miles, which with my rule of thumb says I should wait 31 days or roughly a month before I do another hard run. Well, I waited 35 days. I waited 5 weeks and did a half marathon, and that was the worst half marathon I've ever done. I don't care too much about timing, and I finished, but my time was the worst I've ever done a half marathon. I kept feeling during the run like I didn't have energy. And my daughter, who also ran the 50K with me and did the half marathon with me, felt the same thing. We just didn't feel like we performed very well. So 5 weeks probably wasn't enough rest and recovery time for me from that 50K. I probably needed more. I don't know how much more, but I probably should have increased that 1 day per mile to a day and a half per mile. I should have waited maybe 6 weeks or something like that. So you really need to listen to your body. Do not underestimate the need for rest. And the other thing about not running too frequently are repetitive injuries. You're stressing your knees, you're stressing your ankles and your hips. Running too frequently will just add repetitive stress to that and increase the risk of injury. So make sure you give yourself adequate rest, and I can't stress that enough. you need to really listen to your body and make sure you get enough rest. If anything, over rest. Now, just one point of clarity, when I talk about waiting 1 day or a day and a half between hard runs, it doesn't mean you don't run in between there at all, but you'd want to do easy runs, short runs, but you'd wait that day to day and a half between hard runs. So hydration is my second pillar. Obviously, after doing a run, you're mildly dehydrated, you need to drink some water. A good rule of thumb is 16 to 24 ounces. However, if you'd like to fine tune that a little bit, I'm posting down below a link to a calculator where you plug in the amount of weight you lost during your run. In other words, you weigh yourself before you run and afterwards, put that number in there, and it'll fine tune the amount of water you should consume after a run. Another thing to keep in mind when what you drink after a run is how long you've been running, how much sweat loss you might have had. You might need electrolytes. So again, another rule of thumb, if you've been running for more than an hour or it's excessively hot, you might want to use a sports drink or add some electrolyte powder to your water to get some of those electrolytes replenished. Now again, as I've been saying, if you're not running, you're recovering, you need to think about your water intake every day. And again, there's lots of rules of thumb there. The one you probably heard most common growing up is drink 8 glasses of water a day, and that's a good rule of thumb. Another one that's out there is take your weight in pounds divided by 2, and that's the number of ounces to drink every day. For example, if you weigh 160, divide that by 2, that's 80, so you would drink 80 ounces of water a day. Again, another good rule of thumb. However, I don't use any of those rules of thumb, and I would suggest you don't either. And I think a better judge of your hydration is your urine color, and that's what I use. You want to get your urine to be kind of a light straw color. If it's darker than that, if you got a bright yellow, or certainly if you got a dark yellow, you may be severely dehydrated, but try and get that light straw colored. So a few weeks ago, I was at my doctor, and she wanted to check my kidney function because she knows I'm a runner and am I getting enough water in the summertime. I told her I was, that I judged my hydration by my urine color, and she was kind of impressed by that. She checked it anyway, and it was all fine. So use your urine color to judge your hydration. Now, my third pillar is nutrition, specifically protein. You need the protein, the amino acids for protein to help with that muscle repair. And that needs to be not only after a run, but an ongoing thing. So after a run, I try to have roughly 25 grams of protein. It's in a recovery drink I have. Some experts recommend 30 to 40 grams of protein after a hard workout, but shoot for at least 25 if you did something exceptionally hard or exceptionally long. Maybe you want to get closer to 40. Now, just to benchmark that for you, an ounce of chicken has roughly 9 to 10 grams of protein. So 3 or 4 ounces of chicken would get you there. Protein bars would do that. In addition to protein, after you run, you want to have carbohydrates because you probably deplete your glycogen stores. Now, studies have shown that having carbohydrates equal to 3 to 4 times the amount of protein is the best for recovery. So if you have that 20 grams of protein, you would have 60 to 80 grams of carbohydrates. Again, there's a lot of protein bars out there that'll do that, protein or drinks. I use a recovery drink. Of course, you can have all kinds of breads and things like that to get your repair. But again, between runs, you need to make sure you get adequate protein. That's a daily kind of thing. Keep that muscle repair going. And as you get older and you're a runner, you need more protein. Now, the RDA is roughly 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Now, if we put that in pounds, that's 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight, but that's an RDA. You're a runner, you need at least twice that. And as you get older, some people recommend twice that also. So you should be shooting for something around 0.7 to 0.8 grams of protein for every pound of body weight while you're actively running. And if you're over the age of 50, you probably want to shoot for that too. So keep that protein immediately after the run and ongoing. Again, if you're not running, you're recovering. So you need to have the water and the protein and the rest between runs to help repair and recover your body and get you ready for that next run. So I hope I gave you some food for thought today about recovery. You need to really give it some thought, give it some consideration. The worst thing you can do is not rest enough, not get enough water, not get enough protein. It's just going to make you have an awful run the next time you go run or the next race you're planning. So thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please scroll down and hit that like icon. And if you're new here, I'd love to have you stick around and hit that subscribe button also. Thanks again and happy running.